Kids Comics Unite is a friendly, free community of children's graphic novel creators who are serious about improving their work and building their careers. This month, we're excited to highlight some of our members' crowdfunding.
Hello!
Kids Comics Unite is a friendly, free community of children's graphic novel creators who are serious about improving their work and building their careers. This month, we're excited to highlight some of our members' crowdfunding campaigns as part of our partnership with crowdfunder.com. Our very own Patrick Lugo will be hosting these streams. Patrick, take it away!
Hi there, welcome to our somewhat technically glitchy live stream with Kids Comics Unite spotlight on one of the more interesting crowdfunder projects I've been lucky to focus on. Plus, we've got a lot of interesting things to cover that I'm excited about. But anyway, as with most of these live streams, there's always a little bit of unexpected activities. So let me first share with you a graphic that explains today's live stream with Roger McMullan and the Cicadapocalypse. But why should I explain it when I can press play instead?
Hello! I'm Roger McMullan, author and illustrator of Cicadapocalypse, a thrilling graphic novel about squirrels, Faye, a prepper, and Cyrus, a foodie, as they try to escape an onslaught of periodical cicadas. In 2004, I lived in Maryland when Brood 10 emerged from the ground. The overwhelming noise and quantity of insects was absolutely fascinating. I wanted to share about them in a way that's more interesting than your traditional book. An information-rich, narrative graphic novel. By supporting the first 30 pages, you give us a head start on funding the 8 talented artists involved in the release of this graphic novel. Plus, you can buy a digital copy of Cicadapocalypse's predecessor, the Cicadas Don't Scream activity book, or the 3D model of this cicada nymph print, shaped kind of like the Chicago bean. I look forward to your support in creating a world where learning and cicadas are celebrated. Thank you.
See, that's just so cool. That's why I had to just share that video immediately. But now give me a second while I remove our little overlay here. Is that it? Come on, come on.
Oh,
there we go. Welcome, Roger.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. How are you all doing? Ta-da.
We're having some minor technical difficulties. Let me try that again. All right, Roger, I think we're back on.
Ta-da.
Yeah, okay, cool. Very cool. Anyway, everyone, this is Roger McMullan. Everyone, Roger, can you introduce you? Can we just jump into things? I'm just so excited about this project, right? Because, you know, growing up in New York when I was a kid, I would also, I had a couple of experiences where we had enough land, where there was some woods in the back, you know, and the cicadas came, and, you know, that's just something that if you've encountered them, they're just so memorable.
Yeah.
But, no, I just want to see if, can you tweak your audio a little bit? We're getting a little reverb on your end.
Oh no. Turn this down a little. Let me fuss with my audio.
It's the cicadas, I swear. They're in there. They want to be heard. There. That was perfect. Whatever you did, that laughter was just what we needed.
Okay.
So yeah, Roger, the secret origin of Roger McMullan. Let's hear it.
Ta-da! So I'm originally from Maryland. My backstory, especially related to the cicadas, is that 2004 was Brood 10. It's X, but it's Roman numerals. So Brood 10 came out in 2004. I just graduated high school and I was super excited. And my dad had talked about them for many years. He actually collected insects since we had some of the previous 17 years ago ones. And I took a look, went out to the forest, and it's just to some maddening, but it's all over. There's cicadas everywhere. They're like every 3 or 4 inches. They're there. And so it was just very memorable. It's something really interesting. The cicadas, their defense mechanism is satiation, which basically means that all of their predators just eat them until they're so full that they don't eat anymore. And so what's interesting, that's a very unusual tactic for self-defense. They can't bite, they don't sting, they're not poisonous. And so just having that many, again, it's satiation. So there's so many that they can't possibly eat all of them.
They're just very filling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, filling, and I think it's just the quantity. So I can jump into slides if you want, but there are different types of cicadas or species of cicadas throughout the U.S. And the ones that we most commonly see, especially across the entire U.S., is the annual or dog-dated cicada, and they're usually kind of greenish and black. And this one, the periodical cicada, is black. It's a little bit smaller and has red eyes. So this one.
Yeah, well, yeah. I know that you spent some time preparing some slides for us, so I think that we have some people who are interested. I say we jump right to it, because I'd like to know how the periodical cicadas are different. For me, they were all just the cicadas, but that was cool. They sounded cool. I liked, I have nostalgic memories for them. As an adult, I'm not sure I'd be as appreciative of them, but in the abstract, from the comfort of my home here in 2D, I'm really fond of the idea. So let's start with this. Here we go.
I'll jump back to my cicada slides here. So again, like I said, I fell in love back in 2004. Saw all these cicadas. I even made this print of the cicadas. Here I am. You can't actually see any here in this picture, but made this of the cicadas. It's their shells, and then there's the actual size of the cicadas. And then 2 years ago, I made, in 2021, when the Brood 10 came out again, I made this activity book for kids. Again, I really wanted to share the love of cicadas. And there's about 24 pages of this thing. There's 4 or 5 pages of comics, and then there's a bunch of other, there's crosswords, and there's a couple of folding activities. You can make a 3D cicada, things like that. So, but here's back to what we were just talking about. What's the difference here of actual cicadas, or of your standard cicadas? They come out every 2 to 5 years, I think. I need to look that up. I'm too obsessed with the periodical cicadas. But here they are. This is the annual cicadas that you see normally. And here's the periodical cicadas. You can see there's a bit of a size difference just in width and height. Obviously, this is an illustration. But just a little background on the cicadas. You said you lived in New York. And so you can see this is the actual map of all of the different cicada broods. So they're kind of like a family, and they appear at different times. So, for example, in 2024, this is the upcoming one that I'm trying to release Cicadapocalypse for. This is where those cicadas will appear, and these are the different counties. Each dot is a county. And so New York, I think, would be in this red. And so Brood 2, last one was 2013, so I guess it would have been 2017, so it would have been 2020. And so we have a long ways off until another brood appears.
Well, it'll be a while before I go back to visit, so
there you go.
That's good.
Perfect. So so these are just the different ones.
That's really exciting, and so keep going. I want to learn more.
Sure, I can keep on going. So there's the cicadas. They're exciting. I can talk a little bit more about our process. Let me jump down. Sorry. There's a joke in our house right now. Our kids are make fun of me, and also endear me. Here's their portrait of me. There's cicadas kissing my face, and there's a heart. And
that's adorable. Actually, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit whimsical, and so what I really want to do is jump straight to this, right? I'd like to now we just saw the video moments ago, right? Cicadapocalypse. The first 30 pages are available right now on crowdfunder. And you know, I really wanted to, we're here because of Kids Comics Unite, right? Community devoted for what, education and networking. And you know, I thought a great way to continue our conversations is to share some sample pages, right? And to talk a little bit about like the timing, right? Because here we are in the middle of a campaign. You have 6 days left, and you're at 70% of your funding goal, right? So generally optimistic outlook, right? But the one thing that I really noticed was the timing of the book, the timing of the campaign, and then how that pertains to the release of, well, not the release of, but the what would you call it? The season in which cicadas are active.
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally speaking, cicadas are active, or the periodical cicadas emerge between like mid-May and mid-June. So they're there for about, and then they are only out for about a month. And so it's pretty fast life cycle. They've been waiting for 17 years, you know, in this case 13 years, and then they die after a month. And it's like, oh, so sad. But again, it's a fascinating life cycle. So, like you said, this is kind of timed to the 2024 emergence. There will actually be another one in 2025, and then a couple years down the road, there will be more, again, different locations. And so what I'm excited about is I used to live in Chicago, and this next one, 2024, is the Great Northern Brood will be the ones that are coming out. And so I'm trying to get this, or I will get this book released in time for that. Obviously, this is like a year out, or a year ahead right now from when it will actually, the book will be, the full book will be released, and also when the cicadas are actually coming out. And so this campaign is really more of a kind of a predecessor to that effort, trying to really get my ducks in a row. This is intended to fund, I mentioned this in the video we just watched, that it kind of funds 8 different artists. I'm obviously the principal artist, but I'm enrolling 5 different artists to do some amazing work. And this will be another rollout of different crowdfunder, probably in October, kind of Halloween themed. And then that will be the kind of pre-order, and then obviously you can purchase the book in May-ish.
Tell you what, Roger, let's play that video one more time, because I want folks to really get an idea of what you're working on, and that'll also give us a chance to tweak your audio just a second, because you might want to unplug or plug your mic back in. I'm not sure what your setup is, but let's first play on
I'm Roger McMullan, author and illustrator of Cicadapocalypse, a thrilling graphic novel about squirrels, Faye, a prepper, and Cyrus, a foodie, as they try to escape an onslaught of periodical cicadas. In 2004, I lived in Maryland when Brood 10 emerged from the ground. The overwhelming noise and quantity of insects was absolutely fascinating. I wanted to share about them in a way that's more interesting than your traditional book. An information-rich, narrative graphic novel. By supporting the first 30 pages, you give us a head start on funding the 8 talented artists involved in the release of this graphic novel. Plus, you can buy a digital copy of Cicadapocalypse's predecessor, the Cicadas Don't Scream activity book, or the 3D model of this cicada nymph print, shaped kind of like the Chicago bean. I look forward to your support in creating a world where learning and cicadas are celebrated. Thank you. All right. Is
That
my
was
audio
cool.
is the audio a little bit better? Maybe.
The audio is great.
Okay, excellent. Sorry about that.
It's not a problem. We're live, and I think I'm a little echoey. So, can you hear an echo? 'Cause I'm hearing an echo.
It's very slight. Yeah.
Okay, well, tell you what. How about you tell us about your campaign, right? Like why specifically 30 pages, which is still a large first issue, right? Like most comics, 20 pages, you know. So 30-page issue one is a good start, but you have a bigger plan. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the first 30 pages is basically intended to just give you a nice taste of the graphic novel. It is a good cutoff point for the actual story that I have here, I kind of diagrammed out. And then the rest of the book, the book is about 90-ish pages. I'm finalizing the last 16 pages. It might flow into a little bit more. And then that will give you a good, again, the first 30 pages will give you a good taste of the book, and then in October you can pre-order the actual book, and also obviously in May when the cicadas are here. And so you'll be introduced to in this first 30 pages, you'll be introduced to 3 different characters. You'll be introduced to Faye. She's a squirrel. She's kind of a prepper, a little crazy. And then there's also Cyrus. He's the brother to Faye, and he is a foodie, really into eating and preparing different dishes, scavenging and foraging for different foods. And so you'll meet those 2, and then one of my favorite characters is this raven. He's very, you can see him in some of those preview images, but kind of this prophetic / crazy raven, and he goes on. What you're seeing now is the cicada nymph, and that's even later in the book. You won't see him actually in the first 30 pages. So grateful for all those who have donated so far. Dun, dun.
That was a little preview we saw of that cicada nymph right here.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of messages of support, which is really exciting, and then a few more preview pages. Now, were these illustrated by yourself or one of your team of artists?
Yeah, so I've illustrated the entire thing. I do have, there's one artist who is helping me, who is doing all the coloring. So honestly, he's doing a huge bulk of the work, but I sketched it all out. I've done all the inks and things like that. And I'm doing all the lettering. So the additional artists, one helped with that 3D model, one we have the colorist, and then we have 5 additional artists to that who are basically doing cicada themed art that is worthy of being hung on your wall. So I'm really excited about that. Just again, this is not for this campaign, but in October what's going to happen is those 5 artists will have their work done, and I'm really excited about it because they're really good. And so you'll be able to have these 5 different these 5 different pieces you can hang on your wall or do whatever, and it's kind of a lead up to the emergence. So you purchase it in October on the crowdfunding, and then by December you'll start getting mail where you'll get this art print and a little letter from one of the characters, and then that will lead up for 6 months up to the actual, or 5 months, and then the last one will be the actual delivery of the book. And so it's kind of a trickle down. And so again, like this campaign is intended to kind of fund some of those efforts. I saw Bonnie had a question. Art looks great. How long is the entire book? So again, I'm finalizing some of the last pages. Currently, it's about 84 pages. I just need to finalize some of the back matter and bio, etc., etc. So I'm estimating about 90 pages.
That's a nicely sized book. We also have another comment, right? You have some compliments on your lettering from the Junk Draw Toy Store.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so the lettering is Not is a font. It's called More Sugar. You can get it on Etsy, and I also am a big fan. But I also wanted to really make the bubbles natural, and so I didn't use it like a InDesign or anything like that. I actually hand you each of the bubbles for the writing. So
Yeah, I mean, there's some great stylistic choices that you've made, right? I love I love the use of image within a thought bubble. That's a fun thing, and then just the way you're making use of your type and your lettering, right here to kind of lead the eye.
Yeah,
It's something I appreciate. And so, what software are you working in for these?
So this is my first most thing, and so this is my first like full-on graphic novel and first time really doing things digitally. And so the activities or the Cicadas Don't Scream book was all done manually, and then I scanned it in, and so it was a very tedious process. So right now I'm literally just using an iPad, just drawing it on an iPad with a stylus, and I'm just using Procreate. And so, and then obviously like some of the things I'm going over to Photoshop for color correction and then InDesign for final layout and things like that. So the Adobe Suite.
That's awesome. And so here you have help fund other cicada-themed tutorials, right? So you're gonna have a how-to guide to making 3 different cicada-themed cupcakes.
Yeah, so there's actually even more than more than 3, but that was the one that I was most excited. I like that picture a lot. And so these are cicada-themed cupcakes. There's a couple different ways to do it, and a couple different materials you can use. I wanted to make it accessible as possible, so I'm working on that currently. And there's also a couple other little tutorials, like so I have this 3D model that we have printed, but what I'm planning to do is here's a 3D model. Is what I want to make it look kind of like the actual Chicago bean. So that's how it was modeled. It's supposed to look a little rounded and like that. So I'll sand this down, make it nice and smooth, and then paint it silver so it is reflective and shiny like a Chicago bean. So I'll also have a tutorial on that. There's a couple other pages for activities for kids and things like that I'm also working on for. If you go to Cicadapocalypse.com, that has kind of the beginnings of other cicada resources.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna do that right this second. Give me a moment to pull up a tab. And then let me stop this one. All right, so I'm gonna. I want to share. We are live, folks, which means you get to watch us
walk through.
click around. Here we are, periodical cicadas.
All my pages are broken apart. It's browsing really slow. Oh no.
Oh, this is my browser, which is terrible.
Dun, dun, dun.
Come on. There we go.
If you click up on cicadas, clicks out sometimes.
First of all, very nice website. I appreciate the design.
Thanks. It's a WordPress. so lots of tweaking.
Oh yeah. And here we are. Get the first 30 pages. Nice little banner ad right there.
So this talks a little about the activity book that we had, the successes we had, the mentions we got. And then here's a bunch of things and resources for your kids. So Friends to Cicadas is a little, sorry, just scroll up a little bit. But there was a
Did I overshoot it?
right here. Yeah, so interactive activities, there's Friends to Cicadas, they have a whole PDF book that you can download. Cicada Safari app, that link right there. That's an entire app that's dedicated to basically it's science crowdsourcing, so you take pictures of periodical cicadas as you find them, and that way they're able to really ascend geographic area where they actually are, because that geographic area shifts year over year. Then there's the map. Hello, I'm Roger McMullan, author and illustrator of Cicadapocalypse, a thrilling graphic novel about squirrels Faye, a prepper, and Cyrus, a foodie, as they try to escape an onslaught of periodical cicadas. In 2004, I lived in Maryland when Brood 10 emerged from the ground. The overwhelming noise and quantity of insects was absolutely fascinating. I wanted to share about them in a way that's more interesting than your traditional book. An information-rich, narrative graphic novel. By supporting the first 30 pages, you give us a head start on funding the 8 talented artists involved in the release of this graphic novel. Plus, you can buy a digital copy of Cicadapocalypse's predecessor, the Cicadas Don't Scream activity book, or the 3D model of this cicada nymph print, shaped kind of like the Chicago bean. I look forward to your support in creating a world where learning and cicadas are celebrated. Thank you.
And we're back.
All right.
You sound great. I hear an echo of myself, but that's kind of normal life for me. So how about you refresh us on the interactivities that can be found on cicadapocalypse.com, which I want to also create a little banner for while we're here.
All right.
So let me just do.
So the way
take it away, Roger.
Okay, sounds good. So when I released Cicadas Don't Scream, I created this page, this website, to kind of highlight some of the different things here. So Friends to Cicadas is a little PDF you can download. It has lots of little activities for kids about cicadas. Cicada Safari app is an app that you can download. Basically, it's crowdsourcing science. So you can, by taking pictures of the periodical cicadas, you can actually see where, basically it uploads to a database, and they create these amazing maps that show where the actual cicadas are. And then there's that last one. There's this really cool Washington Post article. It's interactive, like cicada life cycle. It's in 3D. So those are just a couple of the resources, and then if you scroll down, there's a BBC video that features the periodical cicadas. So even internationally, this is such a cool phenomena that BBC filmed this. So anyway, there's lots of resources here. I'll continue to update this page, with the cupcake thing and the 3D model and a couple other fun things. Eventually, we'll have Cicadapocalypse treasure hunts and lots of other really cool stuff that's coming up. So stay tuned.
So that's just stuff that's freely available, right?
Yeah, so they're not
have access to.
Right, and they're not all created, or most of them aren't created by me. These are just cool things other people are doing.
That's really cool. But what is created by you is the Cicadapocalypse graphic novel that we've been talking about, of which when we last left off, right? First 30 pages available on crowdfunding, but there's more to it. So I want you to reiterate what you were talking about your grand vision. Now that we have some good audio, so let's hear it. It's 30 pages. We can call it issue 1, although it's really just a snippet of a bigger story.
Yep, and then the full 90 pages will cover the entire synopsis of Faye and Cyrus as they try to escape these cicadas that they think are so terrible and terrifying. And so what I've really tried to do is lean into, a lot of people are afraid of insects, and they shouldn't be, in my opinion. And so what we're trying to do is take that fear, the Cicadapocalypse, and as they go through this book, hopefully they learn a little bit more about cicadas and understand exactly what's happening. So just to kind of give a little bit more, this informational fiction starts with Faye obsessing over preparing for winter. When she goes to hoard some acorns, Cyrus runs into this crazed prophetic raven who warns him about millions of red-eyed beasts. The prophecy comes true. The squirrels flee for their lives until they get a tip from another forest friend. And then at the end, there's this fully illustrated appendix, and it's written and narrated by that cicada nymph you see in the crowdfunder page. And he kind of reviews the book, points out all the facts you learned along the way, saying like, ha ha ha, cicadas are so amazing and awesome. And that's the basic premise. And so again, taking that initial fear, it's something that many people feel about insects, and then turning that into hopefully joy and excitement about the ongoing cicada apocalypse that they might be facing currently. Oh, I'm not hearing you.
There's nothing like information, right, to help quell fear. But I noticed that you almost said the K word, and that's because you are not unfilmed. This is not your first crowdfunding campaign. Is that true?
This is true, yeah. So I can jump into my slides in a second. But yeah, previously I did a Kickstarter for, oh wait, here, I forgot this is. Previously I did a Kickstarter for Cicadas Don't Scream. Here's my, actually I have a printed copy right here. Da-da-da-da! And
let's hold that. Yeah, that looks great. It's like magazine size.
Yeah, so full 8.5 by 11. There's lots of pages in here. One of my favorites is this 3D cicada model you can make. There's this thing. Actually, I'll show you slide pictures. You can also make this diorama of the cicada life cycle. So, and then obviously, there's, like I said, there are some comics and things like that that really tell more about the periodical cicada. And so it goes through if they're dangerous and things like that. You can actually purchase this now on the digital copy on the crowdfunder as well. And so there's actual just straight facts. And then, like I said, there's a couple of other activities. Here's about the map. Here's a lift the flap. It tells you about, again, their life cycle and kind of filling in what to do. Here's another comic. It tells about their life cycle. And there's being an entomologist for a day. So you fill out this whole thing about the actual cicadas. So lots of fun activities that you can kind of explore and play with. So yeah. I can show you a slide. Oh, you're muted again. Sorry, you're muted, Patrick. Oh no.
You know, I'm talking away. I forgot to press unmute.
You're good.
So I'm just gonna do a quick play of a short video just to see if that'll reset our audio one more time, and then we'll jump right into your TED Talk.
Sorry.
How do we sound?
I think we're good. I don't know, how do we sound?
I think we sound pretty good.
All right. Sorry this is having so many issues. All right.
Oh, this is a wild ride, but you know, I wouldn't expect any less for a Cicadapocalypse.
That's right. All right, so let's jump into, I'll just share this really fast. Oh, no, wrong thing. Just kidding, not share. I wanted to. Slideshow. Boom. All right, so yes, previously I did a crowdfunding, did a Kickstarter for Cicadas Don't Scream activity book. It was a lot of fun. One of the things that I learned along the way is that advertising is everything. You know, you can make an amazing, mind-blowing product, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't really matter. So what I did was really appeal to the target market. So I found a couple of cicada groups. Yes, there are some. And also people who are really into education. So everything from Girl Scouts and homeschoolers and Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, things like that. Those kind of people who are already outdoors or interested in insects, they found that. So again, that's kind of plays into who is your end reader. And yes, those are kind of those niche groups. I also got a mention in the Washington Post, and one of my heroes, Rosemary Moscow, she even mentioned it in a tweet. And then, again, collaborating with people who are relevant to your field. So again, in this upcoming project, I'm hoping to, I am collaborating with 5 different artists. They often have some kind of cicada or insect-themed artwork, and so partnering with them is part of the marketing, basically. All right, so let me just go into a little bit about some of the hurdles in creating Cicadapocalypse, and also even just generally as a creator. When this whole saga first started, so when in 2020, I realized that Brood 10 was coming out again, and I was like, I want to make a cicada book. Unfortunately, like, I just didn't have time to, as I tried to work through, I had never made a full-on comic, and as I was doing it, I was like, this is going to take way more than the time I have right now. And so I ended up doing this small the shorter 24-page activity book instead, and that was a large learning opportunity. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But we have 2 kids, and I was a little bit nervous, like, I don't have time to fulfill my dream of becoming a kids book author and illustrator. And my wife at the time, or my current wife, my only wife, my wonderful wife, gave me perspective of like, dude, you have 2 to 3 hours every night. Come on, you just work on it, and you'll get there. And so that's true. If you look at the statistics of it, it's like 5 days a week is with 2 to 3 hours a day. 5 days, because that's realistic. You don't have every night to work on it. So that's 520 to 780 hours in a year, and so that activity book was pulled off in like 3 months ish. Everything, designing the entire thing, illustrating it, and then writing. Anyway, so there's a whole lot, and so, but the whole time, like, again, I was worried that I didn't have time to do it, and also I was afraid of failure. Like, so many people are way more talented than I am, and so I kind of addressed that, like, what am I actually afraid of? And so I think the biggest thing was the failure of, like, financial failure, or again, just like in comparison to others, I'm not the best. And so I took a little bit more of a look at my goals, and I think this is really important to define what success looks like. And for a lot of people, it's just like the financial, like, I want to be able to publish this thing, boom. But for my instance, for this activity book, I set a couple of goals of, like, I wanted to take advantage of and really inform people about the world around us, or about the periodical cicadas. I wanted to get people interested in cicadas who might not normally be. I wanted to do it via narrative, but ended up being a comic for this. Now it's going to be narrative in Cicadapocalypse! And then I also wanted to complete a publishing project from start to finish, just kind of prove it to myself that I could. Again, that I have a lack of time thing. And then also wanted to learn the ins and outs of Kickstarter and now crowdfunder. But those were kind of my goals, and none of them actually even involved. I wanted to just break even and meet these goals. And so we did, and it was awesome. And so... Oh no, are we having audio issues again? Let me stop the microphone. I'll mess my settings, and then I'll come back. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's keep on going. Sorry, Patrick, are we okay? I'll keep going. All right, so having goals, do it. And so that tiny little project, the activity book, really gave me a lot of hope. And so I think this having those small things, even if what you end up making is hot garbage, but I enjoyed it, and so it's better than not making anything. And so that activity book accomplished my goals on a smaller scale. To give a larger perspective than just me, some random guy that you probably don't know. In the Oatmeal, kind of a crude online comic, but this guy wrote. He's very popular, has 3,000 million readers. He's got a couple of card games and board games and things like that. But he wrote these 8 comics about 8 things marvelous and melancholy I've learned about creativity. In it, he talks about how a lot of times that we create these gigantic babies, our darlings, and it's like, I'm investing all my time into my 6,000 page biopic, or not biopic, but whatever it is, about, Sasquatch. And so like the market for that is going to be pretty small, and there's lots of issues with it. But if you instead, produce many like small chicks that are cute but still killable, hate to say that, but that's his premise. It's a lot more manageable, and you can continue to crank those out and accomplish those smaller goals. Similarly, one of my heroes, Tyler Thrasher, he started out making these crazy literal experiments with chemistry. He crystallize these cicadas and things like that. And he just continued to progress his artwork. And he had like installations, and he made these cool cicada plushies. And now he's making like these other crazy, like glow in the dark, like real plants and things. And he has, 356,000 followers. So taking those small bets and turning them into bigger bets can really, really pay off. So I'll stop there if there's any questions or thoughts, and keep going.
Well, many of our comments include we sound much better, so that's very encouraging.
Sorry.
But I think this is something that we talked about with a couple of the other, guests on a few of our other live streams, is the difference between perfect and complete. Like the willingness to put something out there, mistakes and all, versus like trying to make that thing perfect on the first shot. And so with that in mind, we've done a bunch of live streams. It's expected that we'll encounter some technical difficulties, but that's not going to stop us. That's not going to stop us from spotlighting Kids Comics Unite and spotlighting. Where is it? See, if I was more polished, I'd have like my button ready to say spotlighting Cicadapocalypse.com. Even though I was really aiming for this button, right? But we all make mistakes.
That's great. That's great.
But I did notice that you mentioned a cicada plushie. Am I mistaken in thinking that I can find one here?
Unfortunately, it's not my plushie. This is Tyler Thrasher. So I don't think I link it here, but Tyler Thrasher is the artist who makes these.
Oh, is that it right there? Let's see. Close up.
Here he is. Ta-da-da! Here's Tyler Thrasher. Ta-da! Thrashy #1. And it unzips. It's super cool. So kind of metamorphosizes right here in action. So this is the annual cicada, not the periodical one, but you can see here's the full cicada, and here's this little exoskeleton that it's shed. So, anyway, it's pretty cool.
That's pretty lovely.
Our kids love it. So it's really fun.
So folks will have to content themselves with the 3D printed one that we see here instead.
Yeah, which is one of the things I do love about it. Again, it's very interactive. You get to go print it yourself. You're learning 3D skills, things like that. And then again, you can kind of see the little wings that'll form and different things that are there. And again, kind of after the shape of the Chicago bean. So if you are in that area, it's great for you.
That's pretty. I'm not. I'm one of those coastal elites, right? I grew up in New York, and now I live in San Francisco. So my knowledge of Chicago consists of one Greyhound bus stop. Can you tell me what the Chicago bean is?
Oh man, I feel like it's very Instagram worthy. Actually, here I have some more slides I can share.
Do it. Let's do that. That'll be awesome.
I will do that. All right. So here is my. Okay. So here is the Chicago bean. I made these mock-ups that have the little cicada. In my ideal world, where everyone is obsessed with cicadas, we would actually have a 3D steel sculpture of cicada nymph, at least for the emergence of of the cicadas next year. But I don't think everyone's as obsessed as I am. So you'll have to make your own with this 3D model at home. But
Oh, that's awesome. But that can make for an epic crowdfunding campaign to have a public installation made in time for some future release.
that would be cool.
Wait, I don't remember the map, but cicadas in the Chicago area, is that a thing?
It is. So that's what's happening next year, 2024. So here, so 2024 is this year. Illinois, they're all over the place. So they're definitely happening here. They kind of happen in Route 10, but not really. That's Indiana more. So yeah, next year is the cicada one. I think it would be, again, I mean, it's $6,000 to make something. I did investigate this, but $6,000 to make a gigantic steel sculpture that people can climb on. So it's not that likely. Also, the Museum of Art or Art Institute of Chicago would have to be on board with it. So.
But what if you made it like a giant Mylar balloon? That's what would it be cheaper or more expensive? I mean, if we filled it up with helium, it'd be hugely expensive. But
that's a great question. Should explore that.
We veered from the remit of your TED Talk, so let's get back to the comic creation process.
I mean, we don't really need to dive into too much of this, but I'll just show it to you just since I have things here. But I originally started this whole thing. It was more of a love story. It was instead of being I survived Cicadapocalypse, it was actually finding love in the Cicadapocalypse, and it focused on a cicada and then trying to find love. That's not this version, but originally. So it's gone through a couple of different iterations. So writing the script is really important. So for me, other people diagram this out a little bit differently, but for me, I just did dialogue and then illustration, description, get peer feedback, and part of the SCBWI, so Society of Children's Books Illustrators and Writers and Illustrators, and they gave lots of really good feedback. And then I start to thumbnail everything out. I get feedback again. And then eventually I start sketching, and that sketch turns into, and then I start inking, pass it off to my mind-blowing colorist, and then I also letter. Sometimes I letter and ink at the same time, but that's the creation process, and then that's it. So here's our finished artwork, Cicadapocalypse. Again, first 30 pages. I'm really excited to have. Again, educating on cicadas, making things a little bit more interesting than your typical fact book about cicadas. You can get, again, cicadas don't scream. We've mentioned it a couple times. Here you can see that 3D model right here. Got it in a couple of bookstores. And there's that 3D model we just discussed. So
yeah, and by the way, while we're on the topic of that one, let's see, Bonnie is excited to learn about the Chicago bean, and she too believes that we should make one as big as that. So that's very encouraging.
Thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, so Chicago bean, I think, was installed in 2003 or 4, somewhere around there, early 2000s. And it's by Anish Kapoor. He's I think, British artist. It's actually, technically, it's actually called Cloudgate, and he did not like when everyone started calling it the bean. But it's definitely a landmark. It's in Millennial Park in Chicago, and very, very popular just because it's a highly reflective surface and really cool. And so you can kind of go underneath. It's big warped. I mean, a human only goes up to like this, so it's pretty huge. It's a massive sculpture, and it reflects the entire city that surrounds it. Millennium Park is a little bit lower than all the huge skyscrapers around it. So it's pretty cool. It's fun.
That's awesome. All right, well, I want to take a second because I think our audio is shifting again. So let me switch over and press do a little quick. All right, I'm kind of glad that we have that super short, 3-second video. It's coming in so handy right now.
Perfect. Cool. I can go through my final spiel, or I can tell you a little bit more about myself or things like that. I don't know. Where do you want to go, Patrick?
I mean, I think we should take this your TED Talk to the finish line while we've got it, because the info. I mean, like that little template that you were showing on how you created scripts. that's a newsletter or a blog post or something. There are a lot of other, creators who are always looking for that extra little thing that can help, that they can try with their own process. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's available anywhere for people to download. Maybe that's something that they should get when they subscribe to your newsletter. Just spitballing here, but I shouldn't say spitballing. That's so terrible. And I said it twice on this stream. Oh man, let's talk about bugs. That's a little more palatable.
Yeah. So I can definitely make that more available to others. Make it a social post or a newsletter post. You can sign up on cicadapocalypse.com on the top right. There's a newsletter button. But I'll just talk a little bit about educational comics. Again, I think comics are such an awesome medium for making education. I've worked in online education for 3 different employers, and I married an elementary school teacher. I've worked with youth. You can see that picture here. This is with the Boy Scouts. I'm a dad, and so one of the things I've really noticed is people really latch on to stories and interactivity. You learn more from doing than from hearing, like a lecture or something like that. And so comics do a great job of really pulling the reader in, letting them experience what the learning objectives might be, and then cementing that learning into their mind. And so comics really, again, are a really awesome educational tool. So there's lots of mind-blowing examples of people who do this, but even the silly things, the diagrams that we see in airplanes or lots of other places, those are comics, and they help us understand the concepts, again, by like showing you visually in film. But one of the things that's even cooler is that film, you pretty much just continue to watch it as it is presented to you. But comics are nice in that they are physical usually, and you can go back to different pages and kind of rewind and read it as slow or as fast as you want to, unlike a film. And so that ability to focus really allows for you to, again, internalize that information really well. One of my favorite comics is this, On a Plate by Toby Morris. It's an awesome example of how to learn and feel empathy for others. It just tells the story of these 2 individuals and how it basically shows what privilege is with these 2 stories, and how sometimes people feel privileged while others are not, and what it is. And so, but it does, again, the comic medium does such a fantastic job of illustrating this. There's other ones that are a little bit more fun. Again, Rosemary Mosca, one of my heroes. She does lots of fun comics, and she wrote this, Expedition Backyard. Our own Andy Hirsch is on here. He does a couple of these science comics. They're really fun too. Again, kind of a narrative, lots of facts thrown in there. And then this is a little bit more loose, but I really love the Brownstone series, Brownstone Mythical Collection. The books are based on a collection of facts or mythology. So like Greek mythology, this one is Egyptian mythology, and it takes those facts and kind of turns them into a modernized story that's interesting and fun. So again, by experiencing them, you better learn the material, and lets you kind of see, feel, and learn those things. All right. Audio. I don't hear you. You're muted. You're muted, Patrick. Sorry.
There's no one. That's the reason why our audio started sounding good, because I was muted. But no, I think we're sounding good again. Okay. So it's definitely a wild ride on this here live stream, but I'm having fun.
Sorry, man. I will have to look at the mic. I don't know if it's anyway, it's all good. So, okay, I'll just wrap it up. I don't know if there's anything else, any other questions that have come in or anything like that.
Well, we got, here, we've got a great comment right here, right? Let's see. Is it showing? No.
Looked up the bean, officially titled Cloudgate. Seeing, yeah.
It was there for a heartbeat.
Yeah, so it is officially titled Cloud Gate. It's by Anish Kapoor. And yes, it's very reflective and cool.
Excellent. Well, I was just really quickly, while you were doing your TED Talk, I took a quick look at your campaign. And it's looking like over the course of this session, it's creeped up a percentage or so. I'm not sure, but definitely. I think I remember it. I think I remember commenting on it being at 70%. So
Yeah.
unless it was a false memory, I think the important thing is that you're making progress, right? And I have yet to go in there and contribute, and that's something that's on my bucket list. So consider me percentage number 72 or something.
No worries.
I'm pretty confident that this project is going to find a growing audience. It's such a fun one.
Yeah, last night we had 12 contributors, so we're growing well today. So that's great. I'll take it.
That's very awesome. So yeah, let's I want to give you the spotlight one more time so that because your audio sounds good right now, and I'd like folks to have the chance to, get to know you better, reach out to you. So give us your farewell message.
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of, here, I'll show my, all right, I guess I won't show my last slide. But basically what I love about this project is it is this immersive STEM learning. I love that it celebrates an event that may, depending on your area, may or may not impact you or someone you know. That again, those hordes of cicadas emerging from the ground is super cool. Again, it supports 8 artists, so it's kind of its own cicada economy. And if you love insect or cicada content, this is definitely for you. I really appreciate all the people who have supported it thus far. And again, I'm really excited about this project. I know that cicadas are not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that learning and education is something that is so valuable for kids, again, to get outdoors, to understand the world around them. And so I'm excited to bring that to them. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, you're muted again.
Man, this session is going to go down in the record books, I tell you. It's got so many interesting aspects. But a quick refresh revealed that we are now at 75% of your initial funding goals. So
thank you.
That's kind of magical.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Again, yeah. You're at 12 contributors last night. So.
Who's coming across this stream live in the last minute or two, or who's gonna, have a fun time clicking through the replay, make sure to visit this link right here. Roger, I'd like to thank you for joining us and for being part of this. This has been so much fun. I'm gonna close our stream with the final replay of your excellent video, which has come in so handy throughout this session. So
right. Again, yeah, thank you, Patrick. Thanks for having me and facilitating everything. Really appreciate it. So, thanks all for joining us.
Yeah, let's see. We have one last comment coming in under the wire. Let's catch that one.
It was really fun. Audio challenges and all.
All right, yeah, look at that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll outro ourselves with a video.
Hello, I'm Roger McMullan, author and illustrator of Cicadapocalypse, a thrilling graphic novel about squirrels, Faye, a prepper, and Cyrus, a foodie, as they try to escape an onslaught of periodical cicadas. In 2004, I lived in Maryland when Brood 10 emerged from the ground. The overwhelming noise and quantity of insects was absolutely fascinating. I wanted to share about them in a way that's more interesting than your traditional book. An information-rich, narrative graphic novel. By supporting the first 30 pages, you give us a head start on funding the 8 talented artists involved in the release of this graphic novel. Plus, you can buy a digital copy of Cicadapocalypse's predecessor, the Cicadas Don't Scream activity book, or the 3D model of this cicada nymph print, shaped kind of like the Chicago bean. I look forward to your support in creating a world where learning and cicadas are celebrated.